All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another market breakdown call. It is Monday, December 15th. So first day of the week or first trading day of the week. And the markets have moved quite a lot. Now we're going to start off today a little bit differently. I want to quickly kind of skim through the new TCT website. So now it's no longer a trading view Confluence tool, just trading Confluence tool. You don't really want to have issues with trading view later on in the future for using their name in your title. That could go wrong in quite a few ways. So trading Confluence tool, I honestly prefer it to be, without trading view. So trading Confluence tool, you can install it for free. You now have a new look to the website. Basically, instead of going dark themed, we went light themed. And Freddie did all of this stuff. Now you can check if your browser is compatible. So if you refresh the page, you can click on this button and it'll tell you if you're using a browser that supports the TCT. Really easy to install. Just click on any of the install now buttons. It'll let you do that for free without having to sign up or pay anything. Super, super cool visuals. We now allow the broker integration. So if you use, say, Project X, or if you use, I don't know what another one is, any broker that supports CVS exports, you can basically export and then drag and drop the symbol just to match up, because every broker gives you different types of information. So this will kind of help you map those type of things. And then this is kind of a walkthrough of what the dashboard looks like, how to grade, the journaling, the calendar feature, and obviously the confluences, which are arguably the most important part of the whole tool. Quick how-to videos, and then a new way to get billed. You can choose it for cheaper through the annually option. So you go monthly, going to be a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to commit yourself to something that you're not sure of. And then you have your annual option. This compares all the stuff you need to compare. And then also you have any questions, you can go through here. And then on the actual tool, so if we go to the TCT, you can actually use, like, if you have an issue with the tool, say your AI is not working, you're having issues signing up or signing in, you can go to the settings, and you can also go to the support right here, click on support, go to the Discord, get help, whatever you need. It is all in one place now. So super, super cool. I love the new look of the tool. It's really, really easy to use. And do I have access to users' data? I'm not the one who built the tool, so I couldn't answer that question, but the answer is probably no. And I'm pretty sure it actually goes through disclosures when you sign up. It doesn't, we don't do anything with your data. I think the only thing you can give us is your email. And that's basically it. And obviously, I'm personally not like affiliated with the TCT at all, other than being friends with Freddie. So that's going to be a question for him. But the short answer is no. Like, he doesn't collect any data or anything like that. So anyways, on to the actual breakdown. So this is the one trade that we took was NZD CAD. We are in the trade from last week, and we are also in the trade with the signal that I sent to the Discord. So if you aren't participating in the Discord, then you probably missed out. And yeah, so quick breakdown. I mean, we did the breakdown last time, but let's do one once again. Weekly time frame, bearish, pulled back, rejection candle, another rejection, pullback candle, and the weekly time frame is bearish. On the weekly time frame, we do not have a pattern. We do have previous structure, and we do have candlestick rejections. So that's that. On the daily time frame, right? So first of all, if we zoom in a little closer, you see we have a round psychological level. It is 0.8 flat, 0.800. And we rejected that round psychological level. We also have a weekly area of interest, 1, 2, 3, 4 structure points, broke below, pulled back, retested, rejected. Daily time frame shifted bearish. We were bullish, shifted bearish, back underneath the EMA, pulled back into the EMA. We took a loss here because we entered prematurely on after the daily rejection candle here. And then we re-entered the following day or two. Daily time frame, we have a head and shoulders pattern. We have a double top pattern. We're retesting the previous structure right here, retesting the EMA. We have the candlestick rejection, bearish engulfing candle, all that good stuff. 4-hour time frame, we have a head and shoulders pattern, broke, pulled back, retested the neckline, retested the previous structures, retested the EMA. Where for this entry, we retested the EMA. For the current entry, we didn't really retest the EMA. We do have a candlestick rejection with the 4-hour candle, and then we're underneath the 4-hour EMA. With this entry, we are underneath the 30-minute EMA. We have shift the structure on the 15-minute, I believe. Well, technically not really, but I still waited for price to create structure here. Like technically speaking, we have the higher low or the lower high and then the lower low right here on the 15-minute time frame. I still kind of considered if we were to talk about like single candlestick pullbacks, none of those really count as a shift of structure on the 15-minute time frame, even with single candlestick pullbacks. So these are just candles, they don't engulf, they don't do anything. There's only one of them as well. So on the 5-minute time frame, you can see how we were below the EMA. We had a shift of structure, we broke above the EMA, we're above, we're above, we're above. 15-minute time frame creates a double top. We have a very, very strong sell. And then I wait for price to basically break underneath the EMA, pull back, engulf to the downside. 5-minute time frame is now underneath the 5-minute EMA, pull back, sell, pull back, sell. 4-hour time frame, very, very clear rejection on the 4-hour time frame. So very, very nice overall. But we basically have the same confluences in terms of we have on entries, we don't have a 15-minute shift of structure because the 15-minute is already bearish, but we do have a pullback, a double top, retest double top, engulfing pullback underneath the EMA, and engulfing candlestick on both the 15-minute time frame and the 30-minute time frame. So this right here is a very, very good trade. So let's go ahead and journal it. We entered around, I think it was 2 o'clock, 2:30. We'll go 2, it doesn't really matter that much. Entry was 0.797, 797. Stop loss was 0.799. And then take profit is 0.79. So really, really easy. And that's it. We're not going to include a screenshot. Save trade. So now we're currently in 2 trades. So if we go to our journal, our dashboard, calendar, we have 2 trades that are currently active, both NZD CAD. One of them is from Thursday and the other one is from today. So both of these hit take profit. We're looking at really, really good results. So that would be almost 7% from the first trade and then another 3.5% on the second trade. So that's over 10% on one trade. Huge, 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 huge stuff. So that's enough talking about the trades that we have taken. Let's go into our analysis really, really quickly. Also, if you guys haven't seen or tried out the new chat bot, that's super, super cool. You can ask it questions about your analysis. You can even train it to fit your trading style. If you want it to, propose certain ideas or analyze in a certain way, you can ask it to do so, and it will. But yeah, Bitcoin is currently selling. We have created a double top on the daily time frame, broke underneath. It basically did exactly what I wanted it to do. Broke underneath this area of consolidation, retested the area of consolidation, and then sold. So at the current moment, we're basically looking for, another pullback to sell, I guess. Potentially a daily pullback to retest the double top neckline to continue to sell. If not, price is probably just going to continue to sell on its own. And we once again will be targeting the monthly structures over here, I mean, Bitcoin is bleeding right now. Realistically, it's going to continue to do so as long as the timeframes stay bearish. SPX is it not moving? Did it stop moving? Am I stupid? Friday, Monday. I guess it's closed. Yeah. That's odd. I didn't realize it closed so soon. Anyways, SPX underneath the EMA pulled back, retested to sell. Still kind of struggling. I mean, realistically, it did what we thought it was going to do. Friday, we opened. Monday, we opened. We shot up, retested structure, basically retested the double top, and then sold. At this point, I believe we might break underneath the EMA in order to continue to sell. NASDAQ, same thing. We pulled back, not as far as we would have liked, but we did retest the wicks at the very minimum, as I had mentioned last time. So we did retest these wicks right here. This could be a bit of a better area of interest. As you can see, a lot of structures and a lot of wicks inside of this area. Pull back to sell, pretty spot on as well. Yeah, and another selling daily candle. And this daily candle pulled back into the area of interest to continue to sell. At this point, I believe it should just continue to sell into this next area of interest. US 30, similar, but not exactly the same. Not as much structure as we would have liked, but still very, very clear. Sell into the EMA, pull back, and then sell. If you are trading Fibonacci sequences, this right here would be a very, very nice 61.8% pullback. Right here, you get your consolidation at the area. You have your very, very aggressive sell right before session opens or right before market opens at 9:30, and price just tanked. So very, very nice to see that. I think price will just continue to sell across all three of those pairs. Next is gold. Gold, I traded this morning. We're bullish on the daily time frame, 4-hour time frame. Basically sold very aggressively on Friday, retested previous structure, and then pulled back all the way into the highs that it had created, the most recent highs, that is, and then gave us a doji candle. So after the 4-hour doji, I basically zoomed into the 1-hour, 30-minute time frame, and I was like, okay, well, what's happening here? Well, here we have a head and shoulders pattern, which is a reversal pattern. Not only do we have that, but we have a 15-minute shift of structure. So we had a higher high, then we went bearish, then we pulled back into this high and sold, creating the next shoulder of the head and shoulders. If you zoom in even closer, you can see that we broke underneath the EMA, pulled back, and I basically entered a loss. I entered a trade here after this rejection to the downside, ended up getting taken out of that trade, and then I basically re-entered after the next engulfing candle and caught my nice 1 to 2, 1 to 3, whatever it was. I think it was a 1 to 3 right there. And if you notice, this was literally the tippy top of the massive move that happened afterwards. So we caught this right here, and then price continued to sell. So pretty solid. I created my own Confluence set for this strategy that I trade gold with, and so far it's worked really, really well for me. Dollar index inside of this area of interest currently. I do believe price will probably just continue to sell underneath the EMA. So now we're at the area of interest, waiting for the daily and 4-hour pullback into the EMA, into the previous structure, into the head and shoulders neckline to continue to sell. Moving on, we already talked about NZD, CAD. Now that the market is almost closed, I would consider maybe removing my stop loss from this trade in order to not get wicked out. I'm not too afraid of that happening. We are in a pretty good place for a hold. We're in a little bit of profit. If we were like halfway to stop loss, that would be a different story, but we're not. And I think price is moving very, very nicely. if this hits take profit, like we will have a zero, almost a zero drawdown entry, like very, very minimal drawdown for this entry here. And on the daily time frame, we have a very, very nice head and shoulders. I could see price potentially coming back to retest the neckline one more time, but I kind of doubt that that's going to happen. I think we're going to sell very, very nicely. Yeah, well, right now the markets are still open, so 8 pips isn't bad, but once the market's closed, it might get a little ugly. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, moving on to EuroCAD. So EuroCAD is still inside of our area of interest, 4-hour time frame, creating this like triple top. We have a 4-hour rejection candle, still waiting. I mean, we're still realistically waiting for price to give us at the very minimum a shift of structure. The shift of structure would happen right at this point right here on the 1-hour time frame. 2-hour time frame, the shift of structure would happen underneath this structure point right here. So you could do either one. I'm probably going to go with the 1-hour shift of structure. So that would look like a 1-hour time frame breaking underneath, closing underneath this area, and then having a pullback and a rejection in order to continue to sell. This is a trade that I would consider actually taking this week, even if we already have 2 other active trades. I would want to end off the signal room with a banger, and this one seems like a trade that could do that for us. Weekly time frame created this double top, this head and shoulders, broke underneath, it retested the neckline. Same thing with the daily time frame. Clean head and shoulders right here. So this would be the shoulder, this would be the head, the next shoulder right here, broke, retested. I mean, not as clean as I could have drawn it. But you guys get the idea. That's your head and shoulders, break, retest to sell. We're just waiting for the sellers to come into this market and push it lower. So still my top pair for the week, just waiting for the lower time frame. Break and retest underneath the EMA. In our case, it would be underneath the 1-hour EMA or underneath the 30-minute/15-minute EMA in combination with the 1-hour shift of structure and lower time frame confirmation for entries. So that's going to be the biggest thing for me on this pair at the moment. USD JPY never gave us the entry. We had the daily rejection candle, but then we sold very, very aggressively. At this point, I'm probably not interested in this trade. I wanted to take buys above this area of interest. Didn't happen. The daily time frame is still bullish. The weekly time frame is still bullish, but the 4-hour time frame is now underneath the EMA and underneath the area of interest. So we're just going to move on from this one and not pay attention to it for now. And then we'll come back to it in the future. Euro NZD. This is one that I was going to, this is one that we talked about together, actually. This is one that we were going to enter, I think, right here for longs. We talked about this being the entry. And then I don't even know, it was something like this, stop loss right here. And then our target was the daily or the weekly time frame. So yeah, weekly area of interest right here. And that was the entry. At the current moment, we're still trading above this EMA. Very, very clean, very easy to read. I'm not in this trade. I just proposed this as a trade idea to myself, and I was going to send a signal for it. But at the same time as this setup, I was seeing NZD CAD setup, which is the same thing, but inverse. So you can see how like either one works. Either one realistically works for the trade. If you prefer this pair, it's completely fine. I was already in this one, so I just decided to double down. If one of them loses, like if one of them reverses, then both of them will reverse and the outcome will remain unchanged. So still a good trade, in my opinion. You could probably have entered this one as well. Now the market is about to close. Wouldn't be wise to enter this trade right now. Plus, I haven't really looked at the news. let's see, news calendar. News calendar, this is December 13, Monday. So we've had the CAD news, next is GBP news at night, Euro news, GBP. And then tomorrow we have a bunch of USD news, like just a ton at 8:30 in the morning. And at 9:45, some CAD news, more GBP, tons of GBP and USD news, it seems, in the middle of the week. So we'll just have to be aware of that. Shouldn't change much for us. We're not trading any USD pairs. But yeah, good to keep an eye on those type of things. Moving on. So yeah, Euro NZD. This would be something similar to what I would have taken. Very similar to this, except for it's inverted. Plus, I also like the structure here. The structure is much more structured, believe it or not. Here, we're kind of spread out. Like, we don't have much of a consolidate. We have consolidation, but we're very far from that consolidation. Versus here, we have the consolidation all in one area. We pulled back into the consolidation, retested all the structures, and then sold. Here, we retested previous structure, but we didn't really retest the area of interest. So that's kind of my thought process. Still a good trade. We'll see how that one plays out. Moving on is Euro GBP. Here we were looking for a 4-hour pullback to buy. The 4-hour pullback did happen, and so did the buys. We retested previous structure, literally wick to wick right here. We get 1 wick, 2 wicks. They perfectly retested each other. Bam, bam. And price took off. So now I think this one's kind of gone. It doesn't make sense to re-enter or force a trade unless you want to wait for another pullback into the previous structure. If price pushes up, pull back, and then buy. As of right now, I'm just going to stay away from it and let price do its thing. So Euro GBP, no longer interested. USD CHF. USD CHF still having the pullback. 4-hour time frame is pulling back very slowly and very painfully. Same thing with the daily time frame. Now we are about to close with the daily doji, which means that we could do one of two things. Tomorrow we might just create a small wick like this and then sell with a bearish engulfing candle, or we might get another daily pullback. So a candle to the downside, wick to the downside, and then a push to the upside to retest this stuff, or just one big wick to the top side, retesting this, and then also selling within the same candle. Out of the three choices, I would prefer the third one, because then we have properly retested previous structure, retested area of interest, and retested EMA on the and retested EMA on the 4-hour time frame. Now, the best way to determine if what we want to happen is going to happen is by paying attention to the lower time frames, such as the 1-hour EMA and the 1-hour time frame. So what happened here? Well, what happened is market opened, we shot directly downwards, and then we pulled back. Literally, we didn't have a shift of structure. It was more internal. So if this was, let's call this the lower low, we call this a shift of structure, higher high, higher high, higher high, whatever. We had a shift of structure to the downside. Then we went bullish again, bullish, had a shift of structure to the downside, pull back, sell, and we just shifted bullish again. So if we were to kind of visualize this to the side, we can see that the higher low or the market structure was broken right here, right? So now we went bullish once more, and we're currently pulling back to create the next move to the upside. So at the current moment, I would expect a continuation to the upside. In order to know that price is going to sell, we have to break below this structure point, or we have to create a new higher high and then have the shift of structure, then have the pullback, retest previous structure, retest EMA, and then sell. So a lot of waiting to be had. And in that case, we're still waiting on the 4-hour pullback to sell. Still going to be waiting on, if you really want to set an alarm right here, and you wait for price to trigger that alarm, which signifies that you've reached your area of interest. Okay, now moving on to AUD USD. AUD USD is still having the daily pullback. NZD USD has already had the pullback there. Okay, so we're in the area we want to be in for buys. 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish. I will say the weekly time frame is bullish, the daily time frame is bullish, but the 4-hour time frame has shifted bearish. We have the higher high, shift the structure right here, pull back, retest to sell. In my opinion, I do think that we actually might continue to sell from here. Market structure, if you notice, looks very similar to this. This right here and this right here, very, very similar market structures. Even this right here also looks the same, where you're above, then you break below the EMA or you hit the EMA, you pull back, but you've already attempted to shift bearish or you have shifted bearish, say on the 2-hour time frame or whatnot. And then from there, you just wait for the reaction to the downside, you wait for the reaction to the downside, and you wait for the reaction to the downside. Another thing to note is the very aggressive moves that NZD has had recently, right? So NZD CAD, very aggressive sell, pullback, sell. Euro NZD, very aggressive buy, pullback, buy. And then finally, NZD USD, very aggressive sell, pullback, sell. So all things are leading to sells, in my opinion. Only issue is that our weekly time frame is currently bullish, and our daily time frame is also currently bullish above this structure point. So you're only trading with the 4-hour time frame, which is currently bearish. Okay, so in my opinion, you could take very aggressive counter trend trade sells. If you want more confirmation, you just wait for another pullback potentially in order to sell. But in my opinion, I think that the market has already decided that it's going to sell regardless. If you want to be safe, you just wait for a break, retest underneath the EMA to sell. So it would basically be price selling into the daily EMA, reacting from the daily EMA, and then pulling back into the area of interest to create structures for the, inside of the area of interest, retesting EMA, retesting previous structure, and then finally selling further down. So it's kind of like a little zigzag bounce off support, bounce off resistance, and then continue to the downside. Yeah, so that's kind of what, NZD is going to be doing, in my opinion. But then once again, if you are trying to trade with the trend, then all you need to do is wait for potentially a double bottom on the 4-hour time frame on NZD USD, kind of like a break, retest above to buy, and then that would be your trade right there. As of right now, I'm going to remove AUD USD. I think that it could take a few more days to pull back. NZD USD, I'm going to change to sells, but I'm going to have to write in and say counter trend trade sells under area of interest. So it would basically be a break underneath, retest to sell. So in parentheses, 4-hour break and retest under EMA. Okay. Moving on. Let's try to speed run through these. I have about 10-15 minutes to go, but for a good core of the trades that we're looking at, this would be a lower time frame break and retest, 4-hour pullback to buy. Still waiting on this daily 4-hour pullback, and then a break and retest for these other ones. Not interested in this one. Still waiting on the pullback or the shift to structure. It wouldn't make sense. Like, regardless of what you do, any sells are going to be counter trend trade because your weekly and your daily structure points are in the same place. So you're kind of screwed if you're looking for sells on AUD USD and you want to trade with 2 out of 3 timeframes in sync. Other than that, NZD USD is going to be a better option because it allows you to have the shift to structure on the daily. My Wi-Fi cut out. Okay. Have the shift to structure on the daily EMA which would be, yeah, right here. So you'd have a shift the structure, not the daily EMA, underneath the daily structure point. But it will be counter trend trade for regardless until that happens. Wow, that was confusing. Anyways, we've already gone over this one. Not interested. Price is already kind of heading in our direction. Euro USD prices at the higher high on the daily time frame. Not interested until the daily pullback. AUD NZD, another NZD pair which is pushing very, very aggressively. Daily time frame is bullish. Weekly time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame is still currently bearish unless you count this or this as an elbow, which you realistically could. I have nothing against counting these as elbows, but you have to be consistent with the way that you analyze these types of structures, right? So here you could potentially look to take buys. I'm not interested, too choppy. Euro AUD completely disrespected the area of interest we have here, but you have another area of interest slightly above, which is this one right here. Okay. No, I lied. Is it this one? Structure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it's 5 structures right there. So you have another area of interest at the EMA on the daily time frame. So basically, we're waiting for a proper rejection of that EMA and then potentially even a break and retest underneath the 4-hour EMA. Not interested at the moment. GBP AUD going to be the same as Euro AUD. Still waiting on the proper rejection. GBP NZD, another NZD pair which is moving very aggressively. You can see how clearly we have consolidation, shift above the EMA, pull back into the EMA, and now we're having an aggressive push to the upside. Doesn't look terrible. Weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish, but the 4-hour time frame is currently bullish. Push, pullback, and continuation. Not a bad trade. If you guys are interested in this one, I would not hate this one for buys. You would just need to wait for another potential pullback, push, pullback to continue buying. At the current moment, we have like a triple bottom consolidation. The best time to buy would have been on this pullback, after we have like this push to the upside. If you zoomed in, you could probably catch a nice entry, at some point after price started to trade above the 5-minute, 15-minute, or 30-minute EMAs. Anything really works. USD CAD on the daily time frame. We have 2 dojis. It seems like we're about to close with. Nothing much has happened here. Still waiting on some kind of a pullback on the daily time frame. We're not in a bad place to be buying from. Like we have a pretty spectacular, or pretty not spectacular. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. We have a good area of interest, a well-respected area of interest on the weekly time frame, on the daily time frame. Yeah, so right here we have 1, 2, 3 structure points right there. Guess we don't need to zoom in all the way there, but we have 1, 2, 3. You could even count this 4 structure points right here at this area of interest, plus another structure point right there. So we have 5. Yeah, you have 5 good areas of touches. Price is pulled back. We're now consolidating. If you want to say counter trend, I say counter trend. The weekly time frame is bearish. The daily time frame is bearish. So yeah, counter trend buys. You would just wait for a shift the structure on USD CAD, which technically has happened. You have your lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low, higher high, pullback, next higher high. So that is potential right there. Or you wait for a proper break and retest above some of these EMAs, and then you can take your buys there. Counter trend trade once again. I'm not interested in those. Not interested, too choppy. GBP USD, another USD pair. I think we're going to be seeing some selling happening. If I'm not mistaken, we have a head and shoulders pattern. all I would wait for is a proper break and retest underneath the structure point for the 4-hour time frame to go bearish. At that point, you will have the weekly time frame is bullish, the daily time frame is bullish, so that's the only issue there. We could wait for a few more days, like say once price breaks down to here, then you have your pullback, then you have your sell. That could happen sometime next week. Not bad. We could look for those sells then, or you can take your very aggressive sells some point in the near future. I'm not interested at the moment, but keep that in mind. 4-hour shift to structure, and then you can pretty much look for your lower low, lower high, enter on the lower high, and then take the new lower low. GBP CAD, not interested. Once again, still super, super choppy. UJ, all of these are having a daily pullback. GJ is underneath the EMA now. If you're going to look for buys, which you could, I would look for them above the 4-hour EMA, like a proper break and retest above the 4-hour EMA, something like this, and you're above. Because right now we're like in this position where we've broken underneath, we're retesting, we've broken underneath, we're retesting, and we could very, very easily continue to sell. So I think most JPY pairs are kind of in the same position. Some of them, let's see, daily time frame. Yeah, all of them are selling pretty consistently. And you could take some counter trend trade sells on most of these, but I would just wait for better opportunities to buy. I haven't been a huge fan of JPY price action recently, so I'm just going to stay away from this one or from these ones. Next is CHF. CHF pairs seem to be, let's take a look at all of them first. Above the EMA, retesting, 4-hour, broke above or broke below, retested to sell, broke below the EMA, broke below the EMA, struggling to buy, under the EMA, and this one is above the EMA. But something tells me that we might actually sell. So on CHF pairs, I will be keeping an eye out for more sells. I think we're in the same position on USD CHF where we have sold and we're having the pullback, but we're waiting on the pullback to end in order to continue to sell. So here we've sold, we're having a pullback, waiting for the pullback to end. Here we've sold, we might just continue to sell as is. Sold, having the pullback, waiting for it to end. Sold, having the pullback. Same thing here. So same position across multiple CHF pairs. Obviously, in the long run, CHF is very, very bearish. We've had some struggle in the past with market structure, like in the recent past, we've been pretty choppy. But overall, I do think that we should continue to sell. And if we are looking for buys, then we want our buys to happen above the EMA. And we want to see those buys happening across all the CHF pairs. So that's basically it for the CHF breakdown. As of right now, still going to be waiting for the sells on USD CHF and potentially many of the other CHF pairs. But for today, quick breakdown is going to be another CAD pair, Euro CAD, waiting for the lower time frames to shift underneath the EMA to go bearish on the 1-hour time frame, retest, wait for the retest to end, engulf, and then re-enter for sells. Euro NZD is moving at the moment. Just wait for a pullback on the 4-hour time frame to buy. USD CHF waiting for that pullback to end in order to sell. And then NZD USD is going to be a counter trend trade, but we will be, is this a counter trend trade? Weekly time frame, bullish, daily time frame. Did we not say this is a counter trend trade? Okay, then it was going to be a break and retest to sell, counter trend trade. Okay. So that's basically it for, maybe it was on a different set. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, never mind. Sick. All right, that's basically it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys make some money. I hope you guys took the signal. How many of you guys were able to enter the NZD CAD trade alongside me? Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm glad some people did because 700 people in the Discord, but only like 10 of you guys ever answer my questions or responses to my messages. So I appreciate you guys if you do. Um, it's not always going to be so personal. It's not always going to be so like one-on-one. I don't love like the idea of being super well known, but I also feel like at a certain point it is kind of unavoidable if I want to share my knowledge and like what I've learned. So, the Discord's going to grow at some point in the future, and there's going to be tons of people spamming and talking about random stuff. So enjoy it while it lasts. I do appreciate your involvement. That's why we have the smaller, more inclusive group for people who are, active and are willing to put in the work to improve. So I appreciate you guys. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.